Yes, the cat still has diarrhea.
Oh, hi. Welcome in. You're here for the Plex media broadcast. Oh, great. Me too. My podcast, the Full Dash Closure audiobook and podcast, actually sponsors Plex Media. Yeah. We're also on podcatchers like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Amazon, you name it. We're on there. Yeah, it's about not just the gig economy, but corporate AI and the future of human employment and our economy. And it's really applicable to everybody. I think you'll be fascinated. So check it out. We've actually got 14 episodes up now. So yeah, check that out. Let's watch Plex Media now. See what Dave's up to.
The internet is a big dumpster.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Piss-drunk fraternity guy, big cup of asshole, bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. I just can't understand it. But defined by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. I don't wanna hear it. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finished. Mr. Whitebeater, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in the blood and crying. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you alive, castrated and gagged. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The podcast method. Put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. I don't wanna hear it. Read into the
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do this show live every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/EchoPlex Media. You can support this project at eplex.store. Right now, the tinfoil hats, like the one I'm wearing for those watching on video, and a couple others that we've recently added are available with free shipping. So eplex.store. Also, you can subscribe there, very much like Patreon. And for those who are Patreon users and don't want to sign up for a new service, we totally understand that. Go on over to patreon.com/EchoPlex. Sign up at the $5 or $10 level or $20 level or $1 level, whatever level you want. Other ways to support this project can be found at echoplexmedia.com/support. And this is where I usually say this is what the people want. And it's true. It's just a different thing that the people generally want.
Didn't make it to the vault in a pool of blood from the police assault. No revolution, instead your body beaten blue and red and a bright white light on the horizon instead. Then the napalm drops and the flames won't stop. The teacher's dead, preacher's dead, soldiers dead, cops. The napalm drops and the flames won't stop. The teacher's dead, preacher's dead, soldiers dead, cops. What you gonna do when no one comes for you? You better make a plan for the wasteland. So what's your plan for the wasteland? No mutants or martyrs, just malnourished kids telling stories about all the fun stuff we did. No gas for the car and no shells for the gun, so stay back, relax, let the cannibals come. You wish they were zombies, but there's breath in their lungs. Breath in their lungs. What you gonna do when no one comes for you? Oh, what you gonna do when the hungry humans come for you? You better make a plan for the wasteland. So what's your plan for the wasteland? What's your plan for the wasteland? So what's your plan for the wasteland? Would you rather be starving? I would rather be gone. I would rather be dust when the bombs come along. So I fight with the dying when you can rest and be dead. We all need survival like a hole in the head. Pray you're safe and you're sound, not sleep in the ground. Pray the first fucking target is this quaint little town. When the gas came you choked, when the fun came you drowned. What you gonna do when no one comes for you? Oh, what you gonna do when the consequences come for you? You better make a plan for the wasteland. So what's your plan for the wasteland? Ain't got no plan for the wasteland. Thinking Uncle Sam for the wasteland. You're a bitch of pen for the wasteland. You got no plan for the wasteland. So what you gonna do when no one comes for you? You better make a plan for the wasteland. You better make a plan for the wasteland.
All right, everybody, let's get right to it. Our first story on the list is this young man who I've seen a little bit of on Twitter, but haven't seen him doing too much out in the real world. Well, he went out in the real world and interviewed a bunch of people at the Trump rally in Des Moines, Iowa. So let's give this quick look Well, actually, it's 10 minutes. We're going to probably watch the whole thing, see what kind of questions he asks and what kind of bizarre answers he receives from the people at the Trump event in Iowa.
So Donald Trump scheduled a rally in Des Moines, Iowa on the same day Governor DeSantis was slated to speak. I guess it was meant as some sort of power move, but we're gonna go talk to people and see how they're feeling about the selection coming up. You got down for a 2-minute interview?
This young man needs somebody to do the audio on his videos.
Leave the children alone.
Our current and sitting president of Trump. He's our commander-in-chief.
You think Trump is still a sitting president?
Yes.
Blame? Let's talk blame.
Yeah, let's talk blame. What's up?
There's so many people living off of the government handouts, and that is not that much farther away from slavery. It would at your age compared to mine. There's a lot of things you haven't learned yet.
Or I could argue that your views are outdated. Oh, Ukrainian energy expert? Hey, and he does it all while high on crack and banging hookers, right? What % of Americans do you think are transgender?
I would say before it was cool to be transgender, or before it was probably like, I would say 1.5, and now it's probably like 20%.
20%? Well, it's still 0.5%.
Oh, okay. I was pretty close on 1.5.
Pretty, yeah, sort of. Let me ask you this. If an adult...
At least, you know what? At least the guy in the purple shirt here was like, oh, I guess I got it wrong. That's progress. Big progress, actually.
With gender dysphoria, and they try to decide on a treatment, do you think the government should be able to step in and stop that?
Oh, no, not if they're paying for it. As long as, they have their own insurance that they're paying for. I don't think a state, health...
Oh, shit, Comrade Purple Shirt.
Your gender reassignment.
So you're okay with people getting gender-affirming care, though?
Oh, yeah, as long as I'm not paying for it.
There's this whole new wave of eradicate transgenderism, which I think is too far in the opposite direction.
Yeah. I have nothing against, gay people or whatever you claim you are. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to live just the same every day.
This country is more divided
I liked him.
now than it was when Martin Luther King marched when I was a kid. Blame? Let's talk blame.
Yeah, let's talk blame. What's up?
Have you ever heard any Democrat say that it was their responsibility, or they did this?
Sure,
or they did? Have you looked at the records, the actual information that we found about Biden and his crime family? They would eliminate so many of the drugs, I believe, that children are able to get a hold of nowadays. There would be far fewer mental issues.
What kind of drugs?
Pot, for one.
The pot. The kids are on the pot.
I grew up with kids that when it was just coming in, and I saw them make complete idiots of themselves. No, thank you. You go ahead and do it. That's your choice, not mine. Never broken a law in my life except get a couple of... no, I've never actually got a speeding ticket. I've got some warnings.
We can go smoke some pot in my car if you want to break a law.
Not on your life.
Okay.
I think that transgender has just been publicized, just like other issues that they try to distract us from when it's more of a mental health issue.
Well, if it's a mental health issue, then wouldn't it follow that treatment would improve these people's quality of life?
Yeah.
So you're for gender-affirming care?
No.
There's tons of studies that people who receive gender-affirming care have a way better quality of life than people who don't.
Are you just seeing it from the one side, or are you seeing both sides of it?
Well, tell me your side.
No, I'm just saying, have you seen the research on just the one side, or are you seeing it from both sides?
The opposite of gender-affirming care, I guess, would be conversion therapy. And there's 0 studies showing that conversion therapy works. Actually, that increases the suicide rate of trans people.
I don't know the statistics on that. I'm just going by, my own thoughts of,
I've just thought about it.
Trump will be able to beat Biden in 2024 when he already lost to him in 2020.
Well, he didn't lose to him in 2020.
You don't think so?
No, it was completely rigged. Biden is just a puppet anyway. It's not the real guy.
Who's controlling him?
The white hats.
The white hats?
The white hats.
Can you define who those people are?
That would be our military, our generals, and our current and sitting president of Trump. He's our commander-in-chief still.
You think Trump is still a sitting president?
Yes.
You think Trump is currently making all the decisions in the country?
Yes.
So would you blame the current inflation on Trump?
Yes, because this is where we would have been. I'm not blaming him, but in order for everybody to actually start waking up and seeing what was going to come down the pipeline if Hillary would have gotten in and they would have been able to do their New World Order, this is what we were going to get.
I love the concept of a new world order. It's It's the stupidest thing to be worried about. The order of the world is always changing. The internet brought about a new world order. The fall of the Iron Curtain brought about a new world order. The printing press brought about a new world order. The automobile brought about a new world order.
It's also on Trump.
Have you been to the border?
No, have you?
No. So how do we actually know if the wall was actually done? How are they getting in? Is it really a crisis, or is it just crisis actors?
I don't think there's a crisis at the border.
She left our young man speechless there. He was like,
acting like immigrants.
Correct.
What's the purpose of this?
To wake more people up.
To what?
To seeing we would be going socialists in a communist country, and that's not what America's about.
Leave the children alone. Stay the hell out of the schools. Keep your drag queen shit out of the school. Uncomfortable when you were 13 with your body, when you'd wake up with a woody, you wouldn't know what the hell to do with it, you know?
If there's a 15-year-old who is having these confusing feelings, I think they should be able to talk about it without worrying that the government steps in.
They can talk about it, they can dress how they like, they can act how they like, but until any surgeries or anything's done, it should be 18 years old. We need to get the
that's generally how it is anyway.
We need to take back the country for the people.
Yeah.
Peacefully. No violence.
No violence. So you disagree with what happened on January 6th?
It was not an insurrection. We were set up.
By who?
Democrats in a deep state. Antifa was there. FBI was...
You don't think there's a part of individual responsibility to do with it, though? So, like, if you make the decision to walk into the Capitol, break glass, and to riot, don't you think it might be justified to be charged with something?
Yes. If you break the law, of course, there's consequences to breaking the law. Now, you get a group of people, I don't care who it is, it could be Christians, whatever. You get someone or a couple people in there that are instigators, they're going to get the whole crowd to go.
Yeah.
It takes one flame to get the can of gas to burn.
Yes.
Now, there was people there, yes, that should not have done what they did. The destruction should not have happened. If you get caught...
I wonder if he was there.
Because the election was stolen.
You think so?
I do.
How come every time they brought it to the courts, all the evidence was rejected immediately?
Because the courts are rigged.
A lot of those judges were appointed by Trump, though.
They still have a lot of undercurrent things that are going on that should not be going on.
So you think Trump appointed over 60 judges that were part of the swamp?
Maybe.
Doesn't that reflect poorly on Trump's judgment?
No. Because look at all these people that were wearing masks.
Yeah.
Was they fooled too?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, I think that they were.
You think so?
This country is more divided now than it was when Martin Luther King marched when I was a kid. The Civil War was something that no one could do anything about because the whites, quote unquote, whites from the South are not the only ones that had slaves. Slaves are all over the world. Slaves still exist today.
You think there's a direct effect from slavery to how Black Americans are able to live today?
No, I don't. They have a chance to learn. They live in the best country in the world. If they open their eyes and listen, instead of just focusing on their little area and people that they hang out with, they would learn a lot.
But from what you said, it sounds like you were born before the Civil Rights Movement.
Oh, yeah.
So Black people couldn't buy houses in your lifetime when you were maybe a baby.
I'm well aware of that.
You were 5. So you don't think there's any downstream effect?
I felt depressed at that time.
Yeah.
But that's what Martin was trying to correct. Right now, I see so many people living off the government handout.
I'm pretty sure welfare use per capita is higher in red states than blue states.
Yes, but there's so many people living off of the government handouts. And that is not that much farther away from slavery. They were a slave, they were given housing, food, clothing, medical care. The people asked them to work. Yes, there were landowners that were violent and mean to some of them, but there were others that were humanistic.
Yeah, I think there should be no transgenders. I'm pretty sure there's only 2 different genders that are born, and that gives 2 different types of sex.
But even with there being 2 genders, that can still fit under the transgender worldview because you're just switching from generally masculine features to feminine features.
A woman has female reproductive organs and a male has male reproductive organs, and that's about it.
Do you look at people's genitals when you're figuring out whether to call them sir or ma'am? Or do you generally look at a vague set of social characteristics?
You can, just by walking around, you can tell by the way their voice is. You can just what's about your morals, what's morally right in this world.
So you can look at people and know if they're transgender based off their morals?
A person knows if they're men or women, and that they know their morals and know if it's right. And
I totally agree.
To be honest is a big thing. We're all about honesty in this country. So if they know they're a woman, generally you'll know if they're a woman just by the way they walk, the way they're.
This sounds pro-trans to me, though. So you're saying if somebody knows they're a woman and they walk around with features that are looking like a woman, then they can be considered a woman?
No, a woman. We already went over what a woman and a male is, and I think we agreed on that.
Oh, copyright.
You down for a 2-minute interview, sir? We're just independent.
So that's pretty funny. I like these, and the one lady that was standing by what appeared to be a late model SUV, she was a monster. She was the worst of the bunch. I like the guy in the purple shirt. He was pretty cool. He was like, whatever. He was like, do your thing. He's like, I just vote for Trump because, I don't know. Maybe if race would have come up, the guy in the purple shirt, we would have had a different take on him, right? Or maybe he has no idea why he's voting for Trump, just hates the liberals or whatever. Who knows? So up next, we have Vivek Ramaswamy running as a Republican. Seems a little crazy that the guy thinks that Republicans are going to vote for a guy whose last name is Ramaswamy, but whatever. He's going to talk about voting and voting rights, and apparently not the biggest fan of the 26th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Want to see these things restored: civic duty, civic pride, constitutional republic. But whatever we're doing ain't getting us there. And so I think we're going to have to think about it very differently. And that's what I'm trying to do. Voting is not guaranteed in the Constitution. Read the entire Constitution front to back. Our founding fathers and everybody who wrote every amendment since, they knew what.
Go check out the 26th Amendment.
They were doing. They said you can't restrict the vote based on certain criteria.
Yes.
But there's no expressly constitutionally guaranteed right to vote because we don't live in a.
But that's the same thing. Saying that they can't restrict your right to vote is the right to vote. That's like Congress shall enact no law prohibiting the expression. What is it? Congress shall enact no law prohibiting free expression or free speech. I forget what's in the First Amendment, but it says Congress shall not, which ends up giving you the positive right to free speech. That's the same thing as you can't, the Constitution, the 26th Amendment says that you can't deny people over 18 the right to vote. It says negative thing. It says a negative thing. It says you may not, but it ends up being a positive right.
In a direct democracy, we live in a constitutional republic. And that means something. It comes with civic duties.
No, it doesn't.
Against that backdrop, tying the privileges of citizenship to duties, I think that's closer to the flame of the American way. And that in a small, very pragmatic way, if I may say so myself, but I think that in an implementable way is what I took a first step towards last week when I said that if you want to vote in this country before the age of 25, let's start with that. Before the age of 25, then you at least have to either have served the country or at minimum serve the country by learning something about it and pass the same civics test.
Oh, he wants to do tests at the polls now. Tests at the polls, you say? Like literacy tests. Remember when there were literacy tests at the polls?
That we require of naturalized citizens. So,
and the truth is, Vivek, I'm not sure I'm just thinking abstractly with you here. We're not formulating law. I'm not sure what changes at the age of 25. I would like to see the entire citizenry more educated and more invested in America.
So I'm with you, Will. I really am, actually. That's where I am in spirit. So now this is actually the first conversation I'm having since I've rolled the policy idea out that gets into the depth of my journey to get there. It just turns out pragmatic. So I'm actually with you. I'll say two things in response against the backdrop of agreement. One is, I'm actually giving people three paths to understand the country. One is serve the country.
But you don't know. Just because you join the military doesn't mean you understand policy or civics.
Or first responder police service. If not, at least learn something about the country in the form of the same civics test that immigrants have to pass to become naturalized voting citizens. And if not, then at least live in the country as an adult for 7 years and experience it, likely as a taxpayer or finding your own way. to actually at least have some skin in
Yeah, this motherfucker hates the 26th Amendment.
as an adult in the country. So those are three different paths to experience or know something about, come to know something about the country.
Fucking idiot. Yo, he doesn't know shit about the country. The 26th Amendment, what he just described would violate the 26th Amendment. Probably parts of the 13th or 14th Amendment too, though I don't know. So we got a new character over there on Fox News ever since old Tuck Tuck is gone. This guy was we'll say he was the main character over at Fox this week. His name is Will Kane. And we got 2 clips of him talking about the coming race war. Seems great.
I think it's actually undeniable that we are living in the least racist moment in human history. And within that context, we're in the least racist country on the planet. And we are almost at the least racist moment in the entirety of our own personal American history.
Our own personal American history?
Take a look at this Gallup poll. In June 2008, just months before Barack Obama won the presidential election, nearly 70% of Americans believed race relations were somewhat or very good.
Yeah, and then we saw what happened when the Democrats nominated a black dude.
By Obama's last year, the number of Americans who had a positive view of race relations dropped by nearly 20 points, including less than half of black adults. Additionally, the number of black Americans who worry a great deal about race went from around 40% during Obama's presidency to nearly 70% today.
What happened?
The number of white Americans who worry about race nearly doubled in that time span as well. Between the last year of Trump's presidency and the first year of Biden, the number of Americans who worried a great deal about race increased from 31% to almost 50%. If you did a word count, by the way, for the New York Times, for example, on the word racist over the last 15 years, what you would see, one of those word bubbles, is an absolute explosion. All the race mongering, all the division, it's working. Just over a decade ago, we were headed to that moment of judging each other according to the content of our character.
God, that's like the only fucking quote these people know from Martin Luther King Jr. I'd like to introduce them to some of the things he said about workers' rights and the wealthy.
Not the color of our skin. But since that time, politicians have used our worst instincts to pit us against one another for their own political gain. They are happy to tear apart our carpool in exchange for your support at the voting booth.
Our carpool?
Telling lies, creating boogeymen, reinforcing tribes.
These people carpool?
Joe Biden will divide us. He'll tear us down. He'll fill us with hate for his own gain, for power. One person who is running to stop that from happening is Nikki Haley. She's the former ambassador to the UN and the governor of South Carolina. Nikki, great to have you with us this evening.
Great to be with you.
Why is this happening? Why do politicians insist on dividing us and seemingly pushing us toward a race war?
You know, you look, inflation's running rampant. You've got wokeism in schools. You've got crime at all-time highs.
Crime is not at all-time highs. I would like to introduce this person to the year 1994.
Got, you know, illegal immigrants, the totally open border. You've got China on the march. And that has nothing to do with race. And the idea that he brought up white supremacy goes back to exactly what you said. It started with Obama. Now it's with Biden. The leftists inserts race into everything. And all that does.
Look at there's Joe Biden standing next to some black dudes fucking inserting race into everything.
Pit people against each other, and it doesn't allow us to get to any solutions. So their answer to everything is to blame everybody else for being racist, but not them. And we see how that's played out.
Wait, what? I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. So one of the things, when they talk about a race war, I feel like they think it would play out one way, right? Where it would be like, oh, I'd get together with all the white people and we'd have the white people army, and then the Latino people would have their army, the black people would have their army. They're wrong. A race war, if it were to happen, which I'm not really rooting for. This ain't the Tim Pool show. We're not like rooting for a civil war every 5 minutes here. It would probably play out as racists versus everyone else. And it would be short. Because most people, even though most of us do carry racial biases that we're unaware of, that we should maybe work on becoming more aware of, and work on making sure we don't act on, we're not just going to go join we're racist side of the race war. So I feel like if the U.S. had a race war, that shit would last about a day. and then we'd come out the other side of it. Maybe not better, but certainly not too much worse for the wear, you know? It wouldn't last long. So here's Will Kane again with one of his guests. This time they're going to talk about Rwanda and Yugoslavia.
And look at Mark Milley and Lloyd Austin. They got before Congress and they swore that, that the chief problem in the military was white rage. And there's a reaction against it. You see that we're short 16,000 recruits in the Army. You see that reparations has a 70% negative polling. You saw this recent attempt to have the Cleopatra series fabricate the idea that Cleopatra, who was a Macedonian Greek in the line of Ptolemaic kings and queens, was African American, and the people just don't want.
You can't. Listen, it's impossible for Cleopatra to have been African American. Can anybody guess why it's impossible for Cleopatra to have been African American? This is why the word black just works better.
Be indoctrinated. So there is a group of all different peoples, black, Hispanic, white, that are getting very tired of the racialization, and they're pushing back. It's tragic. We're going down. We have a rendezvous with Yugoslavia or Rwanda if we don't stop it.
Yeah. And that's I was going to say, Victor, we're headed into an unknown and dark age, but the truth is we're returning to the story of humanity. Tribalism and racism is actually the primitive nature of man. We had arrived somewhere well beyond it at one point in America. Now, sadly, we're not looking at progress. We're looking at regression.
So this is pining away for a past that didn't exist, right? Like the chart he was showing when people weren't worried about race. Well, I think a lot of people, and maybe myself included, thought that, that things were a lot better, than they were before Barack Obama was nominated by the Democratic Party. I remember some exit polling during the primaries. Like Democrats, they were like, oh, who'd you vote for? And they're like, oh, I voted for Hillary Clinton. And they just said, they would ask, oh, why didn't you vote for Barack Obama? And they said, oh, I just don't think we're ready for a black president. And those were Democrats. And then people saw that and they're like, oh, shit. I guess maybe race relations are worse than I thought they were. And then maybe some people who held racist, white supremacist adjacent or just white supremacist beliefs, they thought the race was going fine because all the presidents have been white, and like their power wasn't being really challenged in any sort of systemic way by the government. And then they saw a black dude as the president and they're like, oh shit, race relations are bad. Look, we got a black president now. See, like, I think people just realized when we got our first black president, when America got its first black president, that things weren't that great, actually, and that we had more work to do. And that, and that chart said, somebody in the chat asked, like, what do you mean when you say worry, when he was citing those poll numbers? Well, yeah, worry might mean something completely different to me than it means to the average Sam Harris fan, for example. Sam Harris fan would probably be angry that we aren't giving everybody an IQ test or measuring their fucking skull or whatever. And my worry about racism is that it's just like overt and alive and well on Twitter. And, those are two separate worries that would be caught as a yes in the same poll. Anyway, here's the last clip of our friend Will Kane, who I believe we're going to be seeing a lot more of on the Sunday show. He's going to be talking about Canada instituting Sharia law. He's kicking it old school.
In the name of equity, systemic racism is now legal in Canada. According to a report in the Free Press, Canadian judges are considering a criminal's race when they receive their sentence. All they have to do is fill out something called an impact of race and culture assessment. Here's how it works. You say that you are the product of a racist system or that you are an immigrant and you receive a lighter sentence. Here's an example. A man named Edward Smith. He's bragging about how he used the process to get out of prison early. Smith had pled guilty to theft and robbery with a firearm, but he later filled out that form and argued that he committed the crime because he felt disconnected from the culture as an immigrant. That was apparently enough for the judge. Smith was let out of prison after just 6 months. Now, if Smith had been white, he would have served the remainder of his 8 years behind bars. Gad Saad is the author of the set.
Oh no, it's Gad Saad. Why is Gad Saad? No, not Gad Saad. I fucking hate Gad Saad.
And the Parasitic Mind, and he joins us now. Gad, it's always good to see you. What? I thought that Lady Justice wore a blindfold so that she wouldn't do what now is being done in Canada.
Yeah, you know, it's unbelievable, Will. What is beautiful about Western societies is that historically we've adhered to a set of deontological inviolable principles, right? The presumption of innocence, an absolutist defense of freedom of speech, the idea, as you said, that a Lady Justice is blind. And these are inviolable principles. But
they were just ideas. They weren't necessarily practiced, as you might be able to determine when you look at sentencing results for people of different races and socioeconomic classes.
Differentiates the Western tradition from other traditions. So, for example, where I come from in the Middle East, Islamic law, Sharia law, actually institutes, codifies the fact that a penalty for a crime depends on the religion of the perpetrator and the victim. So do we wish, under the guise of the progressive cloak of social justice, adhere to Sharia law, or do we want to stick to the traditions of Western jurisprudence? It's absolutely insane. It's baffling.
Canada instituting the principles of Sharia law.
My God. Yeah, this guy might be the new Tucker. Luckily for our side, he's not very good. He's not as good at this as Tucker. Like, he ain't a good guy or whatever, and I wish Fox would maybe just stop what they're doing and stop having people on to accuse, I don't know, to bring back the Sharia law scare. Like, 'cause that's a kind of an old moral panic, right? That's fucking 15 years ago or something that people were always talking about Sharia law. And funny enough, 15 years down the line, it ain't the Muslims banning books, right? Ain't the Muslims telling you that their religion should be enforced on people at your school or even your workplace. So, up next, this is fantastic. We're gonna find out exactly how many joints are in 2 pounds of weed from. This is from the Minnesota State House. This is Representative Jeff Backer, and he is, as you might guess, a Republican.
In the conference file, we raised 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds. Folks, that's 2,724 joints.
Hell yeah.
That is going to get in the hands of the kids. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We have the gummy problem already. That's not helping to uplift our society. Kids.
But what's the difference between that and 1.5 pounds of joints? What are the kids only going to get their hands on it if there's fucking 2 pounds worth of joints? Mom and dad have got a couple joints stashed away and kids know where they're at. The kid's a certain age. Kid's going to fucking find them and smoke them. Doesn't matter if it's 2 or 2,000. Up next, we got Lindsey Graham on the Sean Hannity show, and it looks like old Lindsey's been hitting the sauce a little bit before the show here.
Remember when we were energy independent? So let me just say this.
Remember when Putin and China feared us?
Hell yeah. So here's what I'm saying. We will win this election if we talk about things that people care about. We need to prosecute the case. If they don't know what they're doing, they're going to ruin your family. They're going to make this country Venezuela. This is the last best chance. So
have another drink, Lindsey. Have another drink.
You can't secure your border. You can't.
Lindsey Grammered.
On the run. You can take back your streets. You can grow your economy, but you got to fire Democrats. If you don't get that, God help us all.
Senator Lindsey Graham. Straight ahead, LA Dodgers have backed down from plans to honor a group of drag queen nuns. A famous hot dog truck is going woke. You can't make it up. Tommy Lahren.
A famous hot dog truck is going woke. You can't make it up. How's your hot dog truck go woke? But yeah, god damn. And whatever, like maybe after that many years in Congress or whatever, maybe you just phone it in and show up on the Hannity show drunk. I do remember back in the day, Chris Hitchens would show up on the Hannity show drunk, but that was a different scenario entirely. So up next, we got Josh Hawley. He is the masculinity understander, apparently. He's going to talk about, trying to destroy traditional masculinity through, I don't know, wokeness or M&Ms, or I don't know what the current version of this is. Here he is from Fox News.
About them in the book, and you look at what our kids are taught in schools. I mean, from the time they go to preschool, for heaven's sake, they're taught that, if they're a boy, if they want to be aggressive, if they want to talk about guns, no, that's bad. They need to be medicated. They need to be quieted down. When they get a little older, they're taught that manhood is inherently dangerous, that it contributes to climate change, that they need to renounce their masculinity. And you see this ideology, it suffuses, permeates our media, our culture, all driven by the left. And then we wonder.
No. So actually aggression, like kids treating each other aggressively in school, is bad. And girls do it too. They just do it in different ways. But yeah, it's actually bad. You don't want all the kids being aggressive. I'm not sure that anybody's saying that masculinity causes climate change. It seems a little made up to me. Just a little tiny bit made up to me. There might be some paper out there that talks about how, I don't know, maybe not. But it's almost like men's rights activist talking points, or like kind of incel talking points there. It's a little bit of academic window dressing on it, but it's similar. It's pretty close to a lot of the stuff we hear from the manosphere. Up next, we got two stories about the supposed FBI whistleblowers. This is great. This is on the Maria Bartiromo show. I have no idea how she's still on Fox News. She was probably one of the big reasons, actually, that Fox had to settle with Dominion.
Well, unfortunately, we can't track down the informant. We're hopeful that the informant is still there. The whistleblower knows the informant. The whistleblower is very credible.
Hold on a second, Congressman. Did you just say that the whistleblower or the informant is now missing?
Well, we're hopeful that we can find the informant. Now, remember, these informants are kind of in the spy business, so they don't make a habit of being seen a lot or being high profile or anything like that. 9 of the 10 people that we've identified that have very good knowledge with respect to the Bidens, they're one of 3 things, Maria. They're either currently in court, they're currently in jail, or they're currently missing.
So we have informants, but they're either in court. Well, they're not. That's just a place somebody would be. Are they a judge? Maybe a stenographer? What the fuck? So I don't think they have informants. I think they made it all up, and now they're like, oh, well, they're missing. I think they're kind of maybe trying to soft pedal the idea that the deep state kidnapped them or something. But it's who knows? I haven't been covering this, as you know, as you might well know. I don't do a lot of this kind of politics. We only do this on Sunday, kind of with an eye towards conspiracism. Don't worry though. Here's Marjorie the Gathering. She's gonna clear all this up for us. She is on Steve Bannon's War Room.
Whistleblowers, yes, they are missing. They're either in court, they're in jail, or we cannot talk with them at this time because they can't be found. This is a very real situation that we're talking about, and our investigation is so important, Steve, that this will bring down the President of the United States. And
well, will it? Because first of all, if they're in court or in jail, you could totally find them. You could subpoena them. You could call them in. You call them to testify. I don't know what she means in court. Does she mean they've been charged with a crime? Does she mean they're judges? Are they witnesses? Are they in the witness protection program? Like, I don't know what she means. Like, what do they mean? I mean, I understand in jail, but in court, just like right now, or just more broadly, they've been spending time in court. Are they a journalist who covers the courts? Like, this all stinks. I don't think there's any fucking whistleblowers. So here's Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about a discussion she had with Black Congressman Jamal Brown. She's, going to be like, black man scary.
had to have so much security. There was not enough. I was swarmed. It's all on video. Everyone can see this. But I will tell you what's on video is Jamal Bowman shouting at the top of his lungs, cursing, calling me a horrible, calling me a white supremacist, which I take great offense to. That is like calling a person of color the N-word, which...
No, it's not. No, calling someone a white supremacist is not. You know why? Because you know why, Marge? Is because you said white supremacist up there at your little fucking lectern, and you know what you didn't say on the lectern? The word that we refer to when we say the N-word. So that's how you know that the N-word is worse than other things, because you're willing to, in front of a camera with a microphone in front of your face, say the other words.
Should never happen. Calling me a white supremacist is equal to that, and that is wrong.
No, it's not.
Jamal Bowman was down there cursing at me, telling me to get the F out of there, and he was leading the mob right outside the vehicle I was sitting in. We have this all on video. And then on the Capitol steps yesterday, he was the one that approached me. Even CNN reported that. Yelling, shouting, raising his voice. He has aggressive... His physical mannerisms are aggressive, and he just recently
did he touch you? Did he get in your face?
See,
because she's not saying any. She's saying his mannerisms were aggressive or whatever, but she's not saying that he touched her or that he got very close to her. Like, does she mean that he like was wagging a finger at her? Like, I don't know what do you mean physically aggressive? Because when somebody says someone got physically aggressive, I'd be like, oh shit, did you get in a fight? Did you have to defend yourself? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is some drama queen shit here. She's talking about having a verbal altercation with someone. That's all.
Just outside the House chamber. I think there's a lot of concern about Jamal Bowman. So, and I am concerned about it. I feel threatened by him. He not only led a mob there, but his boisterous lies. And I'll tell you another thing he said outside there. He was saying, save your party. I kept telling him, no, save the country. It's not about political parties. We shouldn't care about political parties. We should care about the country, because no matter what our political beliefs are, Jamal Bowman, I don't know what his political beliefs are. I know what mine are.
You could find out what his political beliefs are more broadly by looking at like what the stuff he campaigned on and then like how he's voted in Congress. He's a fucking congressperson.
But we both swore an oath to serve the country here in Congress as representatives. So I'm very concerned about Jamal Bowman, and he's someone that people should watch.
Shout out to Jamal Bowman. See, like, was physically aggressive. She didn't say he touched her, even that he got in her face. I think it was just that he was maybe talking with his hands while being black, and she probably thought that was threatening. He didn't threaten her. Nothing. So here's a clip from the Laura Ingraham show. I almost didn't include it because it's 19 seconds, but this is pretty great. It's like it begs the question: why would anyone do such a thing? Why would anyone do such a thing? Check this out.
All right, before we go, a little update on a story we brought you this week about homeless vets being displaced from hotels so that illegals could move in. Turns out the group behind the claim made it up. We have no clue as to why anyone would do such a thing, but we'll bring you any updates should they come.
Racism, xenophobia. You don't have to think too long about why someone would make up such a story. They don't like immigrants. I mean, what were they, just having a bit of fun at the expense of Fox? Well, no, because if they had a bit of fun at the expense of Fox, they would have gone out and bragged about it, right? They would have said, Fox is so stupid they'll believe anything. They don't do any fact checking. Here's the story we made up, and they believed it. So this group, best I could tell, they didn't do that. So they made it up because they're bigots. I guess people don't like the simple answer, but that's the simple answer, and it doesn't require a whole lot of assumptions. So here's James O'Keefe doing his usual James O'Keefe thing. This is supposedly a producer for Fox News at night, and this person who's supposedly a producer at Fox is supposedly going to claim that Tucker was fired because of the Dominion suit.
$144 million to settle that Dominion lawsuit. Oh, that was with the Dominion company. What happened with that? Like,
they gave him money, but part of it, they say it wasn't part of it, but we're learning that Tucker getting fired was part of that.
Tucker getting fired was part of the Dominion lawsuit?
As part of the settlement. Yeah, he was ousted.
See, it keeps getting cut. I don't like this. Where is the video before it was cut?
Advertisers, I guess.
Well, it's either Pillow Guy or it's brought to you by Pfizer, right? It's like
It's Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because we would do all this stuff about COVID vaccines, and we're getting money from Pfizer.
We're getting what?
And we're getting money from Pfizer.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Big Pharma, Big Tech.
You know, you're talking about like the shady players, like your buddy Michael Russell, like that.
So wait a minute. This is okay. So I think what's going on. I think they beautiful peopled this guy. I don't know for sure, but I think this is. I think that's like they did to that other guy. I think they're supposed to be dates, and so they're. And I don't know for sure. We could find out more if Sean Langill is gay. Although I don't really think we're gonna like look into this guy's personal life. Right? He just happens to work at Fox News, but they did this to another guy, and we turned out the guy was gay, and I think they beautiful peopled him. And this is a thing that like spies know, that if you send a beautiful person to talk to somebody who might not otherwise talk to them, like somebody who's like out of their league or whatever, or that you might think is out of their league, they're likely to tell you things. The problem is they're likely to fucking tell you what you want to hear because they want, as in this case, he wants a second date. I don't know for sure, but that I get that vibe off of this. I get that vibe off of this big time. And I'm just going off of Gaydar here, so I could be totally wrong, but that's the vibe I get. I think they've been kind of targeting gay people in these organizations because all you got to do is get within a mile or two of them, get a few people on Grindr who are fairly attractive, and just send them a message, be like, "Hey," and then invite them out on dates. Why would you? What else would you do? Like if somebody was trying to target me in that way, that's what they would do, right? That's why I don't fucking talk at all about what I do as far as this stuff on a date at all. I'm just like, oh, I'm a content creator. And then they'll ask me and I'll be like, oh, maybe we can talk more about that later.
That's a whole story in and of itself.
OMG News has obtained incendiary footage of a Fox News producer talking about Tucker Carlson's departure, the Dominion settlement, and the influence that advertisers and pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer have over the embattled network.
Fox News Media, America's news, and much more.
$144 million to settle that Dominion lawsuit.
See, they're cutting this up between like two encounters that they had with this guy. I think it's the same person talking to him in both encounters, but I don't know.
The Dominion company, yeah.
They already played this part too.
What happened with that? Like,
they gave him money, but part of it, they say it wasn't part of it.
They already played this part.
Tucker getting fired was part of that.
Tucker getting fired was part of the Dominion lawsuit?
As part of the settlement.
Well, so did Tucker leave, or did you guys part ways, or Tucker was ousted?
Yeah, he was ousted. Well, he brought up things that cost him a lot of money.
Cost the company a lot of money?
Yeah, and that was part of it. Like, he was going to go after his whole thing about January 6th was, it was an inside job, but he went after this guy, Reyes, he said was an FBI agent on the inside.
Right.
Yeah, I'm getting big date vibes off of this.
He was going to go on the air and what that guy said on 60 Minutes, and the Murdochs were like, not going to happen. The other thing with Tucker that is interesting is everyone's like, are losing so many viewers and money. I'm like, well, actually, there are a bunch of advertisers that said we're not going to advertise that 8 o'clock hour. So now that he's gone, they're starting to come back.
Sean, a Fox News insider, says that not only Tucker's reporting on January 6th cost the network a lot of money and made the Murdochs unhappy, but Sean goes on to talk about the pressures of advertising and the influence of big pharma on the embattled network.
Right, but the problem is I don't know if this person who I'm just gonna assume is someone he thinks he's on a date with is like leading him in this direction. I want to see what the guy he's talking to looks like. The 80% chance the guy he's talking to is just drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah, it's big pharma.
Yeah,
which is crazy because like we were doing all this stuff about COVID vaccines, and we're getting money from Pfizer.
We're getting what?
When you say that we take money from Pfizer, what did you mean by that?
I never said we took money from Pfizer. I think you're putting words in my mouth.
You said, quote,
and we're getting money from Pfizer.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
big pharma, big tech.
But like he could be dismissing that, right? This fucking he could be dismissing that. Look at his body language. He could be like, that's like the like right before that he could be like, oh well, the line from the conspiracy theorist is, and then what he just said there, which by the way I think I saw a cut between the two as well.
Dude, you're describing to me like the nature of the narratives, right? Like we have BlackRock and Vanguard who own everybody, right? They own CNN, MSNBC, Fox, you name it. That's what I was talking about, the self-censorship narrative.
Corporate media interests. When it's corporate media and you're beholden to advertisers.
BlackRock and Vanguard are in your ear. They're like, you can only...
They cut it again there. They keep cutting this.
Up until this point of what the truth is, and then you have to start pushing propaganda.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Pfizer.
Good Morning America on Fox.
Across the board, kind of like that, where you don't want to piss off an advertisement.
Sean also told us about his buddy Mike LaRosa, who, according to his Twitter account, was the press secretary for Jill Biden. Michael LaRosa is now working for a PR company called Penta, whose primary client happens to be Dominion Voting. Sean says that no one has put this together. Well, we're certainly glad that Sean put it together for OMG and all of you.
You look at those little connects and you're like, someone who worked for the Biden White House was literally crafting a message for Dominion. So you're like, of course. So he left working for Joe Biden to start this PR firm or work with this firm whose sole client was Dominion.
Yeah, Mike, like what I think is happening here is this is supposed to be a date, and whoever he's with is acting all impressed that this guy has some insider information, knows what's going on in the media and whatever. And this guy, because he's on a date, maybe he's been beautiful peopled. I call it being beautiful peopled. He's going to just embellish what's going on, try to agree with the person that he's on the date with or whatever, because he wants a second date, or maybe he thinks he's going to get laid or whatever it is. I think people do this on dates.
To go defend. So wow. When you know those little moving parts, you're like, everyone's shitty.
Well, so
the White House to literally go take down the news outlet that was being unfavorable to his boss. No one's talking about that.
You're talking about like the shady players, like your buddy Michael Rosa. Like, what is like it's kind of public out there that he's like at this Penta group. He worked for Joe Biden.
No one's put it together.
He said he was pulling the strings. What did you exactly mean by that? Like with
that he's the one who's crafting Dominion's message to the public. That he's running their
to who?
To the media.
To the media.
But no one's picking up on the fact that here's someone who used to work for Joe Biden.
Joe or Joe? Or both? Technically.
Worked in the administration.
Worked in the administration.
Going after a voting company. Working with a voting company that take down Fox News segment. That's a whole story in and of itself.
I also spoke to Sean myself on the phone while I was filmed, the undercover journalist recording in Washington, D.C., while I was recording back here at headquarters, and you can see Sean's reaction for yourself.
Hey, Sean.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Hey, Sean. Hey, this is James O'Keefe, OMG. We'd like your comment on some of the things that you said.
Yeah, I was with him the Thursday before he was fired, and we were talking about him having lunch and such with the Murdochs.
He spoke to me. It was very cordial. However, the public has a right to know this information. It involves
well, if the public has a right to know all this, why don't you release, maybe not to me, but to like other journalists, the entirety of the footage?
It involves,
I guess they just have to take his word for it. That's the entirety of the footage, but
state and involves how we get our information in society.
Well, I promise you that you said these words, and in terms of the context.
Right, but do I work in advertising here? No.
Okay.
So you're just talking to someone who doesn't know necessarily the full picture here, okay?
So you want me to tell my audience that you don't work in advertising?
Yeah, I don't.
Go to our website, fill out our form, we will ship a camera to you, and you too can sit across the table at a restaurant from a subject and record them. We need more people recording. And listen again to that voice of the undercover journalist. Yes, do you recognize that? It's the same voice of the individual who recorded Tristan Walker.
Yep. Yep, they beautiful peopled him. Yep. He just gave away the fucking... I'm like 90% sure that he beautiful peopled that guy. If you work in the media or you do anything public facing and somebody... I guess if you're gay, because the way Grindr works, right? I'll get into this a little bit. Grindr is the superior dating app, right? And the reason is you can just hit up somebody and be like, hey, what's up? You don't have to match with them. There's no friction really in the process. They can either choose to respond to you or not respond to you. So if you are going to go after, if you're going to try to get footage of, either to deceptively edit or to sort of pull somebody down a specific path, a specific narrative path, and they happen to be gay, and they're just like a regular guy, like the two guys that they showed, they're just regular guys. So what they probably did, and you're never going to see what the guy looks like that was talking to them. I bet that dude just looks like a fucking Abercrombie and Fitch model. I mean, yo. And it's a good strategy. It's just shitty. You shouldn't do that to people. But that's what I think happened in both cases. I think they beautiful people, both of those people. And I don't know, the guy that works for Fox should maybe go get a job somewhere else where they're not going to do this to him. So somebody who is not a beautiful person, inside or out, is Apartheid Clyde, Elon Musk. He went on with CNBC. Afterward, he said he chose the specific person he would speak to on CNBC, which leads me to believe that either he thought that person wasn't very smart and wasn't going to be able to ask him good questions, or that he had a previous relationship with the guy, and he thought the guy was sympathetic to him. So I have two clips. The first one's a little bit longer. Here's some of the interview that Apartheid Clyde did with CNBC.
Elon, you tweeted this thing about George Soros. Well, I'm looking for it because I want to make sure I quote it properly. But I mean, you know what you wrote. But you basically...
it reminds me of Magneto. It's just like, calm down, people. This is not like made a federal case out of it.
You also you said he wants to erode the very fabric of civilization, and Soros hates humanity. Like, when you do something like that, do you
I think that's true. That's my opinion.
Okay, but why share it? Why share it? Especially, why share it when people who buy Teslas may not agree with you, advertisers on Twitter may not agree with you? Why not just say, hey, I think this. You can tell me. We can talk about it over there. You can tell your friends. But why share it widely?
I mean, this is freedom of speech. I'm allowed to say what I want.
You absolutely are. But I'm trying to understand why you do, because you have to know it's got it puts you in the middle of the partisan divide in the country. It makes you a lightning rod for criticism. I mean, do you like that? People today saying he's an anti-Semite. I don't think you are.
No, I'm definitely. I'm like a pro-Semite, if anything.
What does that mean? Wait a minute. That's so he's gonna go with they're actually the model minority.
But why would you even introduce the idea then that would be the case?
I mean, look, we don't want to make this a George Soros interview.
No, God no. I don't want to at all. But what I'm trying even came up though in the annual meeting. I mean, do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political position and I know it because he shares so much of it? Or are there advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you got to stop, man. I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
Look, he's like, so some people think that he does this because it makes him look thoughtful. But we know from watching the Intellectual Dollar Tree that if you want to look thoughtful, you have to do this. You have to look up and to the side, like you're searching the marketplace of ideas for your answer. He feels fucking stuck right here. Yeah, he's just buffering.
I'm reminded of There's a scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great movie.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care.
The Princess Bride was like a satirical movie.
You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
There we go. Fucking Tesla shareholders, fucking sue the motherfucker, because that's what he's saying. He's saying that because his job as the Tesla CEO is a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, and if he's on the record saying, "I don't care if what I say tanks the stock," I don't know. I feel like fucking couple bigwigs that own a bunch of Tesla stock might come after the guy for popping off at the mouth like this. Man, what a dumbass. What a dumbass.
Okay. But I mean, when you link to somebody who's talking about the guy who killed children in a mall in Allen, Texas, and you say something like it might be a bad psyop. I'm not quite sure what you meant, but
in that particular case, there was
He's like, I just saw Cat Turd say it.
Somehow that's not that the obviously people were killed, but it was, I think, incorrectly ascribed to be a white supremacist action, and the evidence for that was some obscure Russian website that no one's ever heard of, that had no followers, and the company that found this is Bellingcat.
Right.
And do you know what Bellingcat does? PsyOps.
Right.
No, Bellingcat is a fucking fabulous journalistic outlet, actually.
I couldn't really even follow exactly what it was you were trying to express there, so that's...
Wait, what the fuck? Then why are you interviewing him? Why are you asking him these questions if you don't know anything about the subject matter?
Saying that I thought the ascribing it to white supremacy was bullshit.
Okay.
And that the information for that came from an obscure Russian website and was somehow magically found by Bellingcat, which is a company that does PsyOps.
And there's no proof, by the way, that he was not.
There's no. I would say that there's no proof that he is.
And that's a debate you want to get into on Twitter?
Yes. Because we should not be ascribing things to white supremacy if it's false.
Okay.
Yo, what the fuck? He's like, Bellingcat is a company that does PsyOps? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Okay, the second clip I have of this is actually just part of the first clip. It's about Bellingcat. Bellingcat, I don't know what, like, when I would have just be like, what do you mean when you say Bellingcat does PsyOps? Like, it's just that you don't even have to challenge the guy that like aggressively. You just be like, I don't know what you mean. Could you please tell me what you mean when you say that Bellingcat does PsyOps? And I guess maybe the person conducting the interview couldn't do that. I couldn't even begin to tell you, like why is that person even conducting the fucking interview? That's why Elon talked to the guy. Either the guy's sympathetic to Elon, or Elon's like, that guy's not very smart. And that could be true too. The guy just doesn't have like the chops really to deal with misinformation. He knows the guy's not a misinformation reporter. So I don't know why the guy was even asking him about misinformation. It's supposed to be a business thing. He should have stuck with, you're fanning these fires and you're pissing people off, and it's going to, you need to, maybe you should stop because there's people who are invested in your companies. That's what the business reporter should be doing. The guy didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Didn't know anything about the subject matter with the Texas shooter and white supremacy. seemed like he didn't know who the fuck Bellingcat is. Like, what a shitty interview. I'm glad we didn't watch the whole thing during any of our time here on stream. Up next, we have one that's just, I said, I'll say it now and I'll say it always. You should never, ever, ever regret heckling George Santos.
So just to talk about one thing that happened prior to this, I understand, which is that you had shouted at Congressman Santos to resign. He was talking to reporters, and you said he should resign. Let me just play that exchange.
No, I did not. I allowed the process to play itself out.
You gotta go. Resign.
What do you have to say to those?
Save yourself.
Like I said, if I could understand you over my colleagues screaming here, the reality
New
is
Yorkers need better. You gotta go, man. Come on, son.
How's your ethics play going? Aren't you in ethics too, AOC? Come on. Look, I can't continue to address you guys because there's a deranged member here, so I'm gonna walk.
So, Congressman, when you look at that, do you have any regrets for doing that, for yelling at him in that way?
No, come on now.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, no.
CNN, y'all tripping now. Listen, that was, first of all, he should resign or be expelled because of the laws that he is being accused of breaking, the violations and lying to his constituents. That's number one. But number two, is heckling like a horrible, evil thing? Is teasing someone? Is friendly banter and a horrible, evil thing?
To be fair, that didn't sound friendly.
Y'all. Like, everybody needs to lighten up and understand that, one, in a healthy democracy, dialogue and debate is essential. Number one. Number two, why even frame a question in that way? Because that feeds into the trope that.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just wondering, dialogue. No, I disagree.
Listen.
I think it's a fair question, and here's why. Dialogue and debate. I hear you. Wanting him to resign, I hear you. But yelling at him to resign when he's talking at reporters is, in terms of decorum and behavior, a different thing. Which is
so the fuck what?
Okay, but I do think it's a fair question.
So hold on a second. So when we talk about decorum, okay, he allegedly falsified campaign finance documents and stole from people. All right? Yep. That is a despicable act. Yes. We should be outraged by that. When I was yelling at Representative Massey about guns killing children, we should be outraged by that. Listen, raising my voice is a sign of passion and intensity. It's not a sign of anger or hate or rage or anything that should make anyone feel uncomfortable. The majority of support that I hear from my district is people are excited that finally elected officials are expressing passion and expressing discontent and rage for the things that aren't moving in Washington. Washington takes 1,000 years to move on common sense legislation like gun control. And that frustrates the American people. The American people want to see action and they appreciate passion. We should all be passionate about things, but be respectful and loving at the same time, which is exactly who I am, and it's exactly what
I get it, and I don't want to keep belaboring the point, but I mean, I'm saying, talking over someone and yelling, heckling them when they're talking to reporters is not exactly respectful. I understand you stand by it. I get it. But I would take issue with it being respectful. But I understand, I respect your point of view. And I appreciate your taking the time to talk to me.
Of course, it's good to be with you.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
You too, thank you. And I enjoy the conversation. So just to talk about one thing that happened.
Always heckle George Santos. My God. I don't know why more Republicans aren't heckling George Santos just to fucking do it. I was like, y'all tripping. I like him. I like him a lot. The more I see of him, the more I like of him. The more I like him. So up now we've got Nebraska State Senator Megan Hunt is just doing the good work here when it's in regards to one of these many anti-trans bills going through state houses in this country.
Senator Linehan talking about missing her grandchild's graduation. I hate that for you. I'm so sorry. Seriously, I would hate to have that happen to me. And I'm happy you're listening because I'm only asking you, we are only here doing this because of LB 574, period. I am not asking you to sit here through late nights to vote on these bills that we're dragging out. I'm asking you to love your family more than you hate mine. I'm asking you to love your family more than you hate mine. If your family wants you home to recover from surgery, maybe you should do that. If you want to go see your grandson graduate from preschool, you should do that. Instead, you are here to drag out this session because you won't come off this bill that hurts my son. You hate him more than you love your own family.
Fuck yeah, get him.
You're here. And so, go to the graduation. Go recover from your surgery. We don't need you here. We need you to vote no or present not voting on 574. Because, there's nothing else in this body that's affecting your family that way.
Fuck yeah, get him. She's like, you could just go. You don't got to be here. You stayed here because you want to vote yes on this anti-trans legislation. And there might be some, I don't know what's going on. Maybe they need a certain number of people there, like for a quorum or whatever. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but it seems like that lady is also kind of weaponizing her grandkid. I don't know. I don't even, if you have grandkids, are you going to go to the preschool graduation? I probably not, unless you live right down the street. Who goes to a preschool graduation? I mean, it's cute and all, and if you can go, but it's not like that kid's not even going to remember preschool when they graduate high school. So up next we got this is North Carolina State House, and this is a pretty interesting exchange that went down in the North Carolina State House.
Representative Jones, does the gentleman yield to a question from the gentleman from Iredell, Representative McNeely?
I absolutely will yield. Yes,
he
sir.
yields.
Representative Jones, I want to ask you the question is, I understand that you went into public school and you went to Harvard and Harvard Law. And the question, I guess, is, would you have been able to maybe achieve this if you were not an athlete or a minority or any of these things, but you were a student trapped in a school that the slowest, in the wild, we'll say the slowest gazelle does not survive, but yet the herd moves at that pace. So the brightest child sometimes is held back. And don't we
point of order? Gentleman may state his point of order.
Okay, I'm hoping I wasn't the only one that got shocked by that comment, that the only reason you went to Harvard is because you were black and an athlete?
No, I did not say that. I said, did that end up being one of the reasons? I do not know.
Damn, that man has a very strong what the fuck face. Look at this. Right there, look at that. That is the most powerful what the fuck are you talking about face I've seen in a very long time.
Reasons. I do not know that. I asked him this. Right. I asked him this.
Okay, all right.
I don't mind answering.
Gentleman.
Okay. I just want to say that I'm just going to say one thing. Harvard had 5 rankings for their students. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I graduated from Harvard, I was in rank 2. So I earned my place, and I did well. Now.
Also, what the fuck was that dude wearing? My God. It was colorful, I'll give him that, but what the fuck was that dude wearing? But I'm telling you, that what the fuck face was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So, Hamilton County, Tennessee, they were going to do a Mother's Day celebration, and they were going to try to make it more inclusive, because, some kids maybe live in single-family homes, dad only. Maybe some kids' mothers have tragically passed away. Maybe some of the kids have parents who are 2 gay men who have adopted. So they were trying to do Mother's Day in an inclusive way because, You don't, like, why wouldn't you? Well, apparently that was bad, and the school board canceled it. And here's some reactions from some of the parents. Shout out to these fucking parents.
The books that were to be shared have been accessible at Alpine Crest Elementary for nearly a decade and are logged and online. These books are well known for tackling blended families, adopted families, foster families, or any family that doesn't fit perfectly into a box. All students, families, and educators deserve to be respected and feel valued.
I'm extremely disappointed in the way an inclusive Mother's Day lesson was canceled and my kid's librarian has been vilified. I knew there would be pushback from a few loud bullies, but I'm enraged that the administration sided with them. A majority of families have been denied an important lesson in our increasingly diversified world, and a platform was given to a group of fear-mongering extremists. This group claims that a story about a bear is pushing trans ideology, and a story about a girl feeling left out during Mother's Day is pushing a homosexual agenda. They say this is sexualization of children when they're the only ones that brought sex into it. The only agenda I'm seeing play out is that of Moms for Liberty, a well-funded and connected political group that preys on vulnerable people with manufactured outrage in the guise of protecting children. I'm here right now to protect my children from them. I'd have to strongly disagree that this group cares about the safety of all kids. The motivation behind the cancellation of a compassionate literacy lesson sends a message to minorities and LGBTQ families that their existence is unacceptable. By shielding your kids from love that looks different than yours, you're turning them into bullies and crippling them from living successfully in a diverse world.
I've never seen them shoveling mulch, putting up swing sets, painting door frames. We're here in the trenches. We're here with these children. This is 2023. I'm a Christian man married to a woman, but I think everyone should be represented fairly. If you want to keep your kids in a closet and just shelter them from everything, homeschool them. Send them to Christian school. This is a public schools for everyone. Everyone. I've dealt with that woman. She loves these kids.
Instead of backing Mrs. Mickey up, you let the bullies win. When you let the bullies win, they're going to keep bullying. I understand that these adult bullies have intimidated and incited an ungodly amount of hate in our community, but you, HCS leadership and admin, must show them that you have a zero tolerance policy for bullying. When you have a board policy that states you expect all students to treat each other with civility and respect, and then you let grown adults bully one of your educators, and you let them interrupt the education of our students, you're teaching the community that you don't actually mean what you say.
Fuck yeah to all those parents. And of course it was Moms for fucking Liberty going in there like messing with this. And this was like a Mother's Day celebration. This wasn't even the thing. That's why this shit is bad, right? Like, because once these people get what they want, if they do with like Drag Queen Story Hour or inclusive education around queer people, they're just going to go after single moms next. Fucking bet. They're going to go after single moms. They're going to go after fucking divorced families. They're going to go after fucking people with stepdads, people who have chosen to adopt kids. That's next. It don't stop. That's why you got to stop it. And this school board, not only did they like allow what these people were saying bullies, they also wouldn't stick up for a fucking librarian. What kind of fucking, who the fuck isn't going to stick up for the librarian? Get the fuck out of here. Up next, we got this is a member of the House of Representatives, Clay Higgins, didn't like someone being in a public space where there was maybe a press conference happening or something along those lines. So instead of, arguing or maybe even trying to get security to, stop this person from doing whatever it was they were doing, they couldn't do any of that. They decided to go with this response instead.
Representative Bowden, can we hear about your... No, you're out. You're out. You're out. You're out. You're out. Aren't you a congressperson touching me? Get off me.
Someone video this. Get this on video.
Get off me.
Get this on video. This is assault.
Get off me.
This is assault.
What are you trying to do, Clay Higgins? You're a U.S. congressman touching a person. You can't push him off the street. Get off me.
Let go of him.
Let him know.
Let him
you calm down. You need to calm down.
Calm down, sir. Yo, you can't do that. Like if you're a public person, like if you're anybody, you can't do that to somebody who's just disagreeing with you. But if you're like a congressperson, you should be expelled from Congress. It looked like he might have been trying to throw him in the street. I don't know if he was trying to throw him in the street, but he was sort of walking him that way. I don't know. The other people there, I think this might have been a time where the other people there should have physically intervened and forced this guy to let that young man go. I don't think that you would have been guilty of any crime if you got in the middle of that and were like, you have to fucking stop. I know that's not everyone's job. Not everyone is capable of doing that. And you should only ever do that if you feel safe doing it. But like somebody there could have intervened because there was clearly one person was clearly the aggressor. Rep Clay Higgins is a giant piece of shit. Shout out to that young man for keeping his cool and not swinging on Rep Clay Higgins. Because I don't know if Rep Clay Higgins would have done that to me if I would have been able to not swing on him. Somebody starts doing that shit to me, I'm assuming they mean me harm, and I'm going to defend myself. So shout out to that young man for basically keeping his cool, going, you're a member of the House of Representatives, which is the right response there, actually. So up next, we have, this comes to us from the Christian Nightmares Twitter account, one of the best follows, really. Here's a young woman who thinks it's time to cancel Target.
All right, I'm just going to say it like it is. Christians, it is time to cancel Target. And here's why. And don't tell me cancel culture's bad and Christians shouldn't participate in it. Yes, Christians should absolutely participate in cancel culture. The Bible itself says we are to be in the world, not of it, and we're not only supposed to stay away from evil, but expose it. And this whole transgender, pride, LGBTQ alphabet people push.
She's been watching that guy. You know whose videos she's been watching? We have a couple videos for him in Red Light. She's been watching that Ethan Schmidt guy's videos 100% for sure. Because he's been going to Target and harassing the people in Target and even tearing down displays.
Pushing their agenda on children is 100% evil and 100% grooming. In no circumstance whatsoever is it okay to promote and present anything regarding sexuality and choosing gender to children. Period. End of story. This is absolutely.
She's literally talking about Target has children's clothes with rainbows on them. Anybody remember Rainbow Bright? Back then, I don't think anybody who said Rainbow Bright was grooming the kids.
Satanic, disgusting, demonic, evil. And to just further prove this point, the fact that the LGBTQ whatever community uses a rainbow as their symbol just goes to show you how truly evil it is. How crazy is it that this community would choose a symbol that God gave us in the Bible as a promise of his love, that he would never flood the earth again, and that he essentially had restored humanity.
Oh, that's great. There have never been floods.
And that he's a loving God, that this community would adopt that as their symbol. So now whenever kids and children see rainbows, they're to associate it with the LGBTQ community. And here's the thing, guys. We are living in crazy, demonic times. And as Christians, we need to speak with our dollars. We need to speak with where we shop. I, myself, will 100% not be shopping at Target ever again. I thought about it years ago when they did the whole transgender bathroom thing where they were supporting that. And as a mom with a 2-year-old and a newborn, I am not taking my kids in Target with their giant rainbow displays, their queer shirts, their shirts with naked people on it.
Does Target have shirts with naked people on them? I don't think Target has shirts with naked people on them.
There
isn't really a big market for shirts with naked people on them, I don't think.
Swimsuits for little boys, their sports bras for little boys. No, this is absolute insanity. Christians, speak up. Do not be afraid to speak the truth. The problem is evil.
The problem is evil prevails when people say nothing, blah, 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 blah. There's a very high chance that she's getting all of this from Ethan Schmidt. He used to be an anti-masker guy. Now he's just running around basically calling people the F slur. Up next, we have our palate cleanser, and boy, do we need a palate cleanser tonight. This is a Satan versus Florida. Shout out to Allie Drew in the Discord for finding this for us, and just big love to Allie Drew and everybody who puts stories in my Discord. I probably wouldn't be able to put this show together every week if it wasn't for the people that help me find clips for this show in Discord.
Satan.
Yes, Joanne.
Just a minor catastrophe.
Mhm. Is it Florida?
Yes. Well, color me surprised. What now? Well, a few things. So all of the migrants have left out of fear for their own lives. The queer people are leaving out of fear for their own lives. And Ron DeSantis is suing Disney and vice versa.
Wow.
People are fleeing. The happiest place on earth. Incredible. Yeah, I know me personally, when I'm at my best, I uproot my life in a pan. I should be intervened. Once he finally kicks it, I do have some fun things planned upon his arrival. It is officially illegal to be Ron DeSantis in every region of hell.
Brilliant.
Oh, well, if it isn't the man responsible for it all. Hello. I know you're probably like, what the hell is going on? So I just wanted to get in front of this. I am a top shareholder at Disney, so let me pass on a little message sent by the mouse himself. Oh boy, fellows, if you don't put that little bronze motherfucker in his place, he's gonna meet a fate that makes Bambi's moms look like a fucking mercy kill, bitch. Jesus Christ, message received.
You rang.
No, not you. Satan.
Yes, Joanne.
Just a minor catastrophe.
That was super cute. And we needed a palate cleanser. I was unaware of that account and I took a little look at it. It's pretty funny. That's a really good account. So you can find that on the docket this week. Podcast listeners, you can find it in the show notes, and people watching live, you can just hit ! docket in the chat to make sure you're following that channel. Up next, we have a guy, I don't even know what this clip is about. I just know that his name is Kent Christmas, and I find that amusing. He's probably some kind of Christian nationalist, is going to be giving some kind of Christian nationalist message. But let's give the floor to Kent Christmas.
To all of those who said that we as prophets missed it when we prophesied that Donald Trump would be voted back in a second term, you're wrong. We did prophesy that he would be voted back in, and he was voted back in by almost 80 million votes. And in the eyes of God, the President of the United States right now in the courts of justice in heaven is not Joe Biden, but it's Donald Trump. Now, whether he's in the office or not doesn't matter, but prophecy had to be fulfilled. And so God fulfilled the prophetic word. And so whether you occupy it in the physical sense or not does not matter. What matters is, did God say it, and did God do it? And he did.
No, that's what didn't happen. If I was a god, I would be able to swing an election. I would be able to make it right, as they might say. So if they truly believe that God is an entity that intervenes in our world and causes things to happen, then what they have to believe is that God made Joe Biden the president. I mean, they don't have to believe that, but if they don't believe that, then I don't believe that they believe that God did any of this shit, you know? Anyway, here is a clip from a Lizzo concert. Obviously not music, that is a copyright, but Lizzo, national treasure. Here's from her concert in Nebraska this week.
Abortion laws passed. And anybody who comes to a Lizzo show should know that I am for people to have the right to have care. Reproductive children's family. Your right. And there's times I get very political, and as adults, we feel it because children here tonight. And it really breaks my heart that there are young people growing up in a world that doesn't protect them. So, let me be your safe space tonight and just tell you, young people, don't let anybody tell you who you are. Don't let any laws tell you who you're not, bitch. You are, I'm sorry to say bitch, I'm sorry. Don't let any laws tell you who you're not. You are who you are, okay? I see you. You are valid. You deserve to be here in every form. You contain multitudes. These laws are not real. You are what's real. And you deserve to be protected. You deserve to be protected. And for anyone whose inner child needed to hear that, you deserve to be protected too. dedicated to all of y'all. Let's have a good time, okay?
So yeah, she's like an absolute national treasure. A couple things. One, she alludes to some religious language when she talks about this stuff, which is really good because she's going to reach people that maybe I would never reach. Well, also, I mean, I have 58 viewers live right now. More people than that by a lot will download the podcast, but like she's going to reach people that folks like me could never reach. She uses her celebrity for good. She also she's just incredibly talented. Her music isn't for me, but I know that she's incredibly talented, and she's just an absolute fucking national treasure. Shout out to Lizzo. You are welcome to come on my show anytime. Here is this is Who You Dancing For. This is also from Christian Nightmares, because of course it is. So everybody, just consider who you're dancing for if you're inclined to dance.
It's really sad that when a song comes on the radio, you know every word, you move like crazy. You dance until you just go wild and come to church and don't open your mouth. And you dance for the devil but can't dance for God.
Oh, you can't. Just dancing for the devil, not dancing for God. That guy's just going to the wrong church. Maybe what he needs is better music at his church, because there are a lot of churches where people be doing a lot of dancing for God. He's just incorrect. It's just that his church people are clapping on the 1 and the 3, and they got no rhythm. That's just his church. All right, we're going to move into a different part of the docket here. First up is RFK Jr. is asked about Medicare for All by Breaking Points. This is Crystal Ball, and I forget the other guy's name. Usually not a big fan of Crystal Ball and the Breaking Points show, but I think she does. My impression here is that she does an okay job.
As you know, every other developed nation in the world has universal health care. Do you support universal health care through a Medicare for All program or something similar?
I would say my highest ambition would be to have a single payer program, which, people who want to have private programs can go ahead and do that, but to have a single payer program that is available to everybody. I don't know how politically realistic that is, but, if you ask me if I were designing the system from the beginning, that's what I would do. You're right. The system now is broken. We pay the most for healthcare in the world. I think we're 79th. We're behind like Costa Rica and Cuba in terms of health outcomes. We have the highest level of chronic disease in the world of any country. That means neurological diseases, autoimmune diseases, allergic diseases like peanut allergies, food allergies, eczema, anaphylaxis, asthma, and we pay more than anybody else. We also consume more pharmaceutical product. I think we take 3 to 4 times as many drugs per capita than Europeans do. And they're not making us healthier.
Oh yeah, he went off on this one. He's been kind of dog whistling a lot of stuff that you hear Scientology say, specifically the Scientology front group, CCHR. That's a Citizens Commission for Human Rights. I don't know if he knows that's where he's getting it from, but that's like the group that has been pushing this thing that he's talking about here the hardest over the last, I don't know, fucking 20 years.
Death in this country after cancer and heart attacks is now pharmaceutical drugs. Oh, Americans are the sickest country in the world. This is the sickest generation we've ever had. And we spend $4.3 trillion on healthcare every year. 80% of that goes to treating chronic disease.
So he didn't really answer the question, right? He didn't say, well, we should have Medicare for all, because he had to go with the we're taking too many pharmaceutical drugs thing, because he doesn't want to piss off the base that he has, because he knows he's not going to win the primary. He doesn't have, there's no way. I'd be surprised if he gets 10% when all's said and done from the Democratic primary. I'll be stunned. But So he's just out there like trying to raise his platform more, trying to basically fucking grift on running for president. And so he couldn't just be like, yeah, we should have single payer, even if he believes that, which I don't know if he does or doesn't. He had to go with, oh, we're taking too many drugs. Anyway, here's what's called on the docket here, masculinity talk with Charlie and Josh.
Gets overly offended too easily, dependent on others, passive, impressionable, subjective, emotional, and likely to be impressionable by others. That sounds like almost where society has gone. You need a balance of both, right? And when men are absent from that, the entire society, the homeostasis, the balance of society goes out of whack.
Yeah, and you know what I think the left is really pushing today, Charlie, and all of the intelligentsia, it's really androgyny. I mean, their message to men is don't be a man. Their message to women is there's no such thing as womanhood. That's why biological men can now be women if they want to be. There's no such thing as gender.
It's this boring talking points.
Consumerism. That's the message of the left. And to men, their message is,
so
hey,
true.
Just go down to your basement, mom and dad's basement, turn on a screen, enjoy yourself. Just sit there, look at that screen, play some video games, watch some porn. You know, just be.
Yes, the left. Yes, the Democratic Party. Because when he says the left, he doesn't mean like the left, like because the left in America is actually pretty small. He means like the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party isn't being like, oh, just go in your basement and watch a bunch of porn, turn into a gooner. I don't think that's the message from the Democratic Party. and that's certainly not the message from the left either. We kind of make fun of those people a little bit. Anyway, it's lies and like bigoted talking points that they're acting like is some kind of concern for the well-being of young people. I don't think that they're concerned for the well-being of young people, especially not Josh Hawley. And Charlie Kirk runs a student organization, or so he claims. But then, like, you look at the attendance when Charlie Kirk throws an event. Ain't no young people in there. It's all, people at least my age in the audience. So, yeah, those people don't give a fuck about them kids or them young people. It's just MRA talking point. It's like reverse MRA talking points. It's kind of weird. Anyway, here's Tim Pool just kind of openly calling for violence because he's a big fan of civil war. He wants a civil war pretty bad.
Lives, but the left doesn't care. Short-term gains, long-term losses. Conservatives tend to be more about the long-term gains with short-term investment. And that's why, no matter what you do, I think nature is taking the reins on this one. Whether or not you target boycotts entirely, whether or not you boycott Target, you boycott Target is entirely up to you. As for what's happening in this country, as horrified as you may be, no matter what you do, eventually this problem won't exist anymore. Either because the people have sterilized themselves and then they age out, they get older and then they don't reproduce.
Wait, where does he think queer people come from?
Because your activism puts an illegal end to it.
Your activism puts an illegal end to it?
One thing. This ideology can't persist. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up in a few minutes. Stick around and I'll see you all shortly.
No. So first of all, he's like these people are going to age out. Like does he think that that queer people aren't born of mostly straight people? That's stupid. And yeah, and then he said, if you end this with illegal activism, or if people end this, that was, I was going to say thinly veiled call for violence, but I don't even think it was very thinly veiled. It seemed like a call to action to me. But of course, it just enough plausible deniability that you can't definitively say that he called for any specific action. It's like that, if you've never read the paper on stochastic terrorism, or one of the many papers on stochastic terrorism, Anyway, here's Tiny Dancer Ben Shapiro talking about how Starbucks is going to just trans India.
It says calling Arpit. It's an older gentleman calling his son on his phone. And the mom is looking at him skeptically.
Suno, is baar gussa mat hona.
And she says, listen, don't get angry this time, please. They're in a Starbucks. And he's starting to get upset. And here comes look, Arpit's a girl. But Arpit isn't a girl.
I know,
but thanks for meeting me, Dad. I know it's been years. But you still mean the world to me. Oh, Dad's going to give a warm hug to his coffee. Oh, they're going to get coffee together.
Yo, these are like good parents. What the fuck?
Mom is so accepting. Now Dad's accepting all because of Starbucks' shitty coffee.
I'll agree with Ben. Starbucks' coffee is kind of shitty.
Oh, little burnt coffee makes you... Your habits haven't changed, says the dad.
Coffees for Arpita.
3 cold coffees for Arpita. And it's for Arpita, not Arpit. Arpita. And he ordered it because he's accepting her name, guys. Oh, so, and the guitar music is going to... For me, you are still...
There was no guitar music. That's not a guitar, Ben.
Only a letter has got added to your name. It doesn't say that part where the got subtracted.
Whoa, Ben, no. Dude, what the fuck?
And the singing. No, it's Derek McLaughlin, Indian style over here. It starts with Arpita.
Oh, wait a minute.
Hashtag it starts with your name. So Starbucks is now exporting the transness to India. Okay, so again, all of this relies, as I said before, on 2 things. Unity of corporate wokeness and your apathy.
Yo, that was kind of corny. It was obviously a commercial for Starbucks. But that was just a parents being cool when they found out that their child had moved to America, and while in America had discovered that they are a trans person. I don't understand what the problem was there. Also, Ben just casually said that, when they said, they added a letter, Ben just, he bleeped it out on his own fucking channel where they're like, they removed your dick. Fuck off, Ben. Here's another Ben Shapiro. This is this isn't really highly offensive in any sort of way. This is just like, dude, really? This is about the swimsuit edition of fucking Sports Illustrated.
It is also Sports Illustrated. So Sports Illustrated, years ago, I used to be, for years and years and years, I was a Sports Illustrated devotee. I think that I got my Sports Illustrated subscription when I was 13, 14 years old, and I had it for probably 20 years. It was my kind of Saturday afternoon enjoyment was reading the sports articles in Sports Illustrated, obviously. And I'm one of the 5 people in America who actually called up Sports Illustrated and said, don't send me the swimsuit edition. I would instead prefer to receive a regular extra magazine. You can do that with Sports Illustrated. Okay, but
yeah, Ben was he called him up and he was like, hey, you need to not do the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition and just make an extra edition of your magazine just for me.
The Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition was obviously tailored at dudes, right? I mean, it was obviously beautiful women in body paint, and it was pretending to be sports, right? That's what it was. I had ideological...
No, a lot of times those were women who were athletes, Ben.
Because again, I'm not big into the objectification of women. I'm actually not a huge fan of women in bathing suits pandering for the male gaze. I'm actually not a huge fan of that because, again, I'm a religious conservative.
Dude. I just chose that because it was fucking dumb. If you don't like the swimsuit edition and when it shows up, just don't read it. Right? You could just be like, I'm not reading that. It is sinful or whatever the fuck. Here's Michael Knowles from Daily Wire. He's like the C team over there at the Daily Wire. He is going to talk about Cleopatra, and apparently Cleopatra was white.
Cleopatra, racially, was white. Cleopatra, culturally, was white. I'm not sure that those terms necessarily totally correspond to antiquity, but inasmuch as they do, she was a Mediterranean ruler who spoke Greek, who, if you had to say, is she black or is she white, she was definitely white. Cleopatra had absolutely nothing in common with what we would today call black culture.
Well, to be fair, nobody back then really had anything in common with what we would call any kind of culture today. It was a long time ago, right?
All this is an expression of our popular culture's animus today toward white people and anything that can be associated with white people. That's all it is. mentioned earlier that in politics, usually you can keep things pretty simple. This is a pretty simple one. The culture just hates white people. In our law, the only racial group, along with the Asians a little bit, that you can legally discriminate against is white people. And here's where the white people and the Asians diverge. Culturally speaking, the only group that it is acceptable to insult is white people. It's actually encouraged in our culture to insult white people. That's all this is about.
I mean, so my understanding is that Cleopatra was what we would probably call mixed race, where she had darker skin certainly than I do, and was a Greek and Egyptian. That's my understanding of Cleopatra as a historical figure. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not a Cleopatra expert, but I'm not going to like die on the hill that she was white. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, more from the Daily Wire. We got Matt Walsh talking about BLM families. I don't know what that means really, but maybe we'll find out what he means here, which probably ain't great, actually, finding out what Matt Walsh means when he talks about the movement for Black Lives. Probably not going to be great. Oh, it's from his own Twitter too. So this is something he thinks is smart and good.
You know who had a responsibility to help Jordan Neely? And I wish that he did get the help that he needed. I wish he got it years ago before he became a serial criminal. But do you know who should have helped him? His family.
Any number of people.
And I'm really sick and tired of these families coming out after the fact, like you left your loved one to live on the street. This psychotic, violent criminal. You just left him on the street for a decade, and now you want to come back around and pretend that you're upset and tell the rest of us that we should have helped him?
But if he was violent, maybe the family, maybe society should have helped. Yes, the rest of us, that's society, yes.
He's your family member. Where the hell were you? That's what I asked the family of Jordan Neely now with your lawyer at the press conference. Where were you for the last 10 years?
You know what I would love for him to do is go up to the family of this Jordan Neely and try to scold them like this. Just walk right up, go up and go scold them like in person, Matt. See, you do it on Twitter or whatever, but that's because if you do that stuff in person, the consequences are unpredictable.
He's your loved one. What the hell did you do for him? You didn't do anything. You did nothing. That's the case for almost all these BLM martyrs that we get.
My God.
The families come out afterwards. Oh, my dear Lord, our dear sweet boy. Where were you? You were nowhere. You didn't care about him. And now because you see the dollar signs, you want to cash in on his death? That's all this is.
What the fuck?
I know that we're supposed to speak in hushed and reverent tones about the families. Oh, the poor.
Well, yeah, they didn't even this doesn't make sense on its own terms. His family didn't do shit. He's mad that his family didn't bring him in, but like people in chat were saying, it's a little more complicated if you're dealing with something like this in your family.
How about holding families accountable? Take care of your own. It's your responsibility, family. Your responsibility. Take care of your own. It's not up to the rest of us. You put the rest of us in impossible situations. By not taking care of your own, you put the rest of us. You inflict this person on the rest of us. And then
This is group punishment. This is fascist shit. This is group punishment. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. When you start calling for group punishment, it's just fascism.
To question after the fact? When we are forced to do things we don't want to do. Daniel Penny didn't go to work that day or get on the train that day wanting to get into a physical altercation. He's not the one who instigated it. He's just sitting there. He wants to get from point A to point B. It's the only reason he's there. Jordan Neely put him in a situation where he had to make a choice. And you, as the family, put Daniel Penny in the same situation by not taking care of your own.
What was the family supposed to do?
Didn't take care of him. Now you want to cash in and make tens of millions of dollars, and it will probably work too, won't it? Because that will heal. That's the only way to heal now. completely abandon your own family members, and then, well, I need money. I need to heal. It's disgusting.
Do we even know if the family has filed a lawsuit? They may have, they may not have, but like this group punishment shit is crazy. And the one of the weird things, right, is that he would be against this if, like, for example, well, they're against this kind of group punishment, even if the group punishment is just criticism, because his boss, Ben Shapiro, be showing up in a lot of manifestos. And so they're like, well, we can't really do anything about that. It's like, well, really? Well, why aren't you acting in a more responsible way and trying to reduce the harm that you're doing to society, and instead you're inflicting these people upon us? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, you don't even have to like get outside of the Daily Wire to see how it's contradictory. But don't worry, here's Matt Walsh talking about single mothers who, by the way, they should be taking care of their offspring, not inflicting those on the rest of us. But we just shouldn't celebrate them too much.
Single moms need much more support because they aren't getting it from the fathers of their children, which is where the support is supposed to come from. Which isn't to say, by the way, that single moms are all, the victims of deadbeats who ran out on them. Far from it. In fact, one of the reasons why we should not be throwing parades for single moms is that many of them choose to be this way. They choose to be single moms. The majority of divorces are initiated by women.
Oh no, it's this. Oh no, they're going to start talking about this. Crowder was talking about this too, how it's like a shame that his wife was able to just up and leave.
And the majority of divorces cite things like money and irreconcilable differences, quote unquote, as the reason for the split. So these are not all or even mostly women who had to flee from horribly abusive men. In many cases, these are women who chose single motherhood as a lifestyle.
Well, you could just end a marriage whenever you want. If you don't want to be married to somebody anymore, well, then fucking leave. If you got kids, it gets more complicated. But if you stay for the kids, it's actually bad for the kids. It's better for the kids if you have like an amicable divorce, as amicable as you can, obviously, especially if one party doesn't want the divorce. They're not going to be super happy about it. But if you can try to maintain a decent relationship and do a good job of co-parenting, those kids are going to be way better off than if you tried to stay together for the kids.
Believing that the father of their children is expendable. It's like an ego trip. Well, I can do both. We don't need you. Our kids don't need you. And this is a message that society seeks to reinforce. That's why they really want us to celebrate single motherhood. The left sees stable two-parent households as an existential threat to their agenda, which they are. Children from those kinds of households are going to be less vulnerable, less susceptible to the push and pull of the greater culture. Not immune from it, obviously, but less susceptible. And that's the problem the left has with two-parent households. They don't want us raising and caring for our own kids. They don't want the home to be a fortress protecting against insidious societal influences. They want our kids vulnerable, exposed. And that's why they present single motherhood as an ideal. It is ideal to them and their agenda. They just forget to mention that part.
So two parents is actually easier than one. It's better for the kids, but you don't have to necessarily live together for there to be two parents. And that's that. You can be divorced and the parent and the kid can feel loved by both parents. Just because you got divorced doesn't mean you're not both still the parents. They also don't like gay people adopting kids, even though there's two of us. If there's two of us and we're adopting kids, the gay couples adopting kids, they don't like that either. No pleasing these motherfuckers. Here's Michael Knowles again talking about Martha Stewart being on the cover of Sports Illustrated, of the swimsuit issue, actually. Oh no, it's just is it the swimsuit issue? We'll find out in a minute. If you could imagine, I'm not a big Sports Illustrated fan, nor do I follow everything that Martha Stewart does.
So Sports Illustrated, in order to stay relevant, to stay in the news, it has to create controversy. And one way to create controversy is to pretend that dudes are chicks, which is obviously completely disgusting, but at least gets them in the news. And then a better way for them to create controversy is to put an 81-year-old woman on the cover. So, okay, mission accomplished. They did that. But why is it wrong? Why is it wrong that even this very good-looking woman at 81 years old is on the cover? I go back to a line from St. Gregory the Great, which has been popularized in recent years by St. Josemaria Escriva, which is that it is not good to look at what it is not licit to desire. And I'm not going to use this line in its precision. I just mean it as a way to sort of get at why people feel like it's a little bit wrong to have an 81-year-old woman wearing a swimsuit on the cover of this magazine. We think it's wrong because we know it's not, we should not be sexually desiring an 81-year-old woman. Even an 81-year-old woman who's a beloved cultural figure, who looks very, very good, especially for her age, it's just, that's not right.
Well, good. Be like little tiny dancer Ben Shapiro and tell Sports Illustrated you don't want the ones with the fucking swimsuits. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Don't know what to tell you. We got one more. We're going to go a couple minutes long here on the pod, and then we'll get into Red Light. We got Michael Knowles talking about Pilates. Apparently, he likes Pilates because there's no Satan in Pilates. Unlike yoga, where there's fucking Satan, I suppose. Even though yoga is just the most basic. And I don't mean like simple, I mean basic. It's the most basic thing in the world. Here we go.
Bailey says, you do this spiritual ritual to place the power of the universe in your palms with symbols and prayers for Reiki. Haha. Yeah, no, the Reiki stuff, man, that you're like just dancing with demons if you're doing Reiki stuff. Do not.
No, Reiki's just pseudoscience. It's not harmful.
Not good.
Actually.
All right, let's see. MK Krog says, you can totally divorce those. I do the yoga moves. I don't engage in the rest at all, but I'm only casual about it. Yeah, no, I'm not saying, I mean, isn't that just what Pilates is? Isn't Pilates just yoga without the demons?
What the fuck, yo?
I'm not expert in these.
What is this, the 1987?
The creme de la creme, says Lindsay Liu.
19, like, what is this, the Satanic Panic? I mean, yes, of course, the Satanic Panic's happening again. Speaking of which, anybody on the pod, you should tune in Thursday nights for our Satanic Panic show. We cover Scientology, Satanic Panic stuff, and we watch this great show called Fire by Night. With that, I'm going to end the podcast. As always, live viewers, stay put. We're not going anywhere. I'm just going to change the color of the lighting here in this studio. I'm going to change the content of my beverage, and I'm going to get up and walk around and take a little break here. If you're not trying to watch on Twitch and you want the rest of the show, go ahead and head on over to patreon.com/Echoplex or eplex.store. Sign up at $5 or higher on any of those, and you get the full audio and video capture of all our podcast recording sessions, plus extras. Sometimes we post Catterday. Sometimes we post Conspiracy Bingo. So if you're, it's late where a lot of people are when I'm broadcasting. It's already midnight on the East Coast. I understand. So as always, we're going to end our show this week with Boomers by Periscope. And like I said, live viewers, don't go anywhere. We got a lot of weird shit for Red Light.